G'day, everyone's video on Sunday, the 10th of August, 2025. Just gone 4:33 a.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend. Time for another weekend futures market recap, where I go through 15 largest futures markets and I'll show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Do hope you had a good week's trading. Market is still strong. I was just suspecting that on last Sunday's video that we'd have a little bit of a bounce, and I was saying, well, I'm still going to hold that short on the E-mini, and no. Come Tuesday, I think it was going the other way, so ditched that. Got short crude, got long Aussie, I'm long Aussie again, and I'm long crude at the moment, so a lot going on. Plus, we're going to be flying this week, which I hate holding open positions while we're flying, but as long as the targets and the stops are in there, I suppose things are okay. But there's a lot to go through. We've got some good setups in the ags starting to happen, and the Forex markets were really good. So we're going to go through all of that in this video, but we're going to talk about the E-mini first. So here we go. Daily chart of the E-mini. Friday's activity is when we had the sell-off, and it ended up being an amateur down bar down here, and we caught from there, and we've started to rally again this week. It's strong. The background's in red with through resistances on the low and the intermediate time frame. At some point, this cyclical cross on the highest time frame on the daily chart will come into play, but it's not happened yet. It's a little bit closer on the Nasdaq chart, but we've still got an uptrend that we're making, and it's not until we see blue professional bars at the highs taking profits that this thing's going to be over. So let's go down the 135-minute chart. Now this, we have seen blue professional bars, but they didn't come in on the highs, they came in on lows. So we had last week's activity was, or the week before last, we had Rambo patterns into those highs. We had a blue professional bar taking profits, and then they caught this little dip that we had. I mean, we ended up being 200 points from that high to low down here. Professionals step in, we trail the stop up, and so we're still in an uptrend, but the stop is a little bit tighter here these days. Pull back to end of trend on the lowest time frame here on the 135-minute chart. But we've still got to make pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame here. And that's going to happen at some point when these come together, have a little bit of weakness, and then the market rockets from there. So we've still got to put in those patterns on the 135-minute chart. 45-minute chart, there we go. You can see the crosses happening here on the highest time frame. The cross on the highest time frame on the 45-minute chart is equivalent to the intermediate time frame here on the next highest time frame, if that makes sense. So this cross on the intermediate time frame, when that happens, these slightly thicker lines here, is the same as this pattern being made on the 45-minute chart. But here you can see the activity from the week before last. We had Rambo patterns into the highs, and then we had blue professional bars taking profits right up there, 64.40, bang. The blue boxes are when we have blue professional bars at new highs or new lows, and that's when the professionals are taking profits or getting into moves and taking profits. So we had them at those highs, they sold it, but then they picked it back up down here, 62.40 or so, and then that was the Sunday night. We started that rally, we gapped into it on the Monday morning and then kept going. A little bit of funky weakness during the week, but that just generated two flush patterns. We've moved from there. We've not had exhaustion buy at those highs. All of these moves have been sell-offs, generating exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, flush patterns, and that's what's kept the market trailing up. But at some point we'll have some weakness and these bars will come together. These lines on the highest time frame will come together on the 45 and we'll have another push back up. 15-minute chart, here we go. We can see there's the activity the prior week. There's the blue professional bars taking profits, the sell-off that we had on the Friday, and that's why we had strength coming into the Sunday night, into Monday, and then this is the weird pattern that we got this week with a gap up, and then it came down with exhaustion sell. So we got rid of a whole bunch of sellers at that point. They were shorting the market, got it wrong, and it went the other way. But there's no blue professional bars at the highs with this week's activity. Even though we've got exhaustion buy happening there, there's no blue professional bars. So the trailing stop on Breda Pro-Am is miles away, and we're making support to resistance on this highest time frame. Looks like we want to test again through those highs of the prior week, and until we see blue professional bars taking profits like this, any weakness is going to be bought until we see that, basically. And then the 13,500 tip bar chart here. So here we can see the prior week's activity, exhaustion buy at those highs, bearish divergence. We sold off. We had blue professional bars coming at the lows down here. We caught the Sunday night activity. We started to a rally from the get-go, and then we kept on going. Now, big pro bars happening here, and then we kept on going through those. This is this odd activity week. We just got too far ahead of ourselves here, but it wasn't blue professional bars at the highs. Then we sold off amateur down bars happening here, so the amateur's getting wrong-footed at that point, and then we started to rally again. Exhaustion buy, almost getting the move going. Got bearish divergence at the point. It's weakening a little bit, but on this last retrace, those are big pro bars happening on the retrace. They were not happening on the way up. So previously, when we've seen highs been made, those big pro bars, similar to this chart on the 15, the big pro bars are at the highs. So that's interesting, and we've rallied from there. So background still in red, we're still in an uptrend at this point. So we're coming through those previous highs during the week. So we'll just keep on going until we find more blue professional bars, more big pro bars on the way up. And I suppose it'll be around this level where we previously had an exhaustion pattern. There'll be a whole bunch of stops sitting there. So let's see if we get that. That'll be 64.25 up to 64.80 or so, 75.80 at that point. And let's see if we get some more blue professional bars and big pro bars taking profits. So the level 6400 is pretty key, and also 6400 on the sine wave patterns. We had a squeeze pattern where there's a whole bunch of resistances and supports come together, prices close in there, and you can see that's a squeeze pattern happening at that point. We've come out of that squeeze rallying. So that means the market's strong and we break out of squeezes into trending moves. So let's wait and see. Maybe, what have we got? We got Putin and Trump in Alaska this week talking. Is that going to be the cause for celebration, and this thing just rockets to the upside? I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we talk about the crude chart. So some really good signals this week on the Forex charts. Last week, the vertical yellow solid lines, beginnings and the ends of the week. So the prior week, we had a big sell-off into exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. We broke into an uptrend. We got a signal, and we had some really nice little dark patterns during this week. Yes, blue professional bars here, but they weren't really taking profits because we're looking at this level for taking profits. But we had some weakness into here. We had a squeeze pattern, and we rocketed out of there into a really nice move. So dark pattern is when we have the background's black because we don't have confluence between beta sine wave and beta pro-am. Beta pro-am is showing we're in an uptrend here because the trailing stop is underneath price. But we had a little bit of weakness here that generated some white bars on beta sine wave. So in terms of price, we're in a downtrend, but we were in an uptrend in terms of volume. And so that's where we get a dark pattern, and that's where there's an opportunity for a re-entry here. So that was a nice little pattern. Ended up with Rambo patterns at the highs, exhaustion by bearish divergence. We've rolled over. Let's see what's going on here. We've got blue professional bars taking profits at 17. We've weakened from there. But they weren't taking profits here, and they didn't get kind of close to those highs at that point. So let's see if 16.5 holds this week on the euro. Similar type pattern on British pound. Again, we were in a downtrend. We got caught here. Blue professional bars come in at the beginning of the week. Big pro bars here. What did we have? We had interest rate decision out of the UK. And although they cut interest rates, the number of governors of the Bank of England that voted for a cut wasn't as many as they thought should or something. And so although when we have an interest rate cut, we normally have weakness in a currency, no, this generated strength in the currency. And here we had a dark pattern as well here. No blue professional bars taking profits there. We had Rambo patterns. Dark pattern happened. We had a nice little squeeze, just like the euro chart, bang. And we rocketed up for a nice little trending move. Backgrounds in red on pound. Aussie, this was good for me because I was long Aussie. Same pattern. The lows here, we had Rambo patterns the prior week, and then exhaustion sell comes in, and then blue professional bars sets the trend move off. We've got the backgrounds in red, so we know we're trending up. A little bit of weakness. We had a bullish divergence pattern come in, and we rocketed from there. Those blue professional bars, they're not really taking profits. They're almost a gathering pattern, getting out of this congestion zone, buying that breakout, because we got to look to close to a previous high or low for real profit taking. And this was mid-sequence and just getting us out of that congestion level at 65. So it was long into that move. That was good for me for about 50 pips, which is good, and I'm long again because on the retrace, blue professional bars come in, we stair-step the trailing stop up, looking to get through 65.40, 65.50 to get this going. Until we see blue professional bars at the highs, this move's not going to be over. So holding long Aussie at the moment. Japanese yen, it's a mess on this chart. We have big pro bars here. We've ramped off Rambo patterns, and we have a whole bunch of squeeze patterns going on here. So something big is going to happen in the Japanese yen because we're squeezing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patterns here, which means all the support resistance levels are super tight together, prices tight together. We're going to come out of this with a big trending move. Now, we've had exhaustion buy at this point. The background's in grey. But let's wait and see. There's not a whole bunch of blue professional bars. Yeah, there's some taking profits here. We've got no big pro bars and during this week's activity. You can see this rolling over. So if equities strengthen, Japanese yen weakens, and we've got squeeze patterns happening, congestion, it could be a big trending move. And let's see if it breaks to the downside. We've got exhaustion buy at that point. Anyway, let's see if we break down through these levels here, because whatever happens, that'll be a fairly strong move in the Japanese yen. 10 years. Now, the prior week, 10 years, we had big pro bars coming at the lows, and we rocketed from there. Exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, and flush patterns, but no blue professional bars up here. We had a couple here, trailed the stop. We broke through those. We're in a downtrend on the 10-year. But there was not a lot of activity by the blue professional bars to justify a trade. That was the trade from the prior week, so nothing happening there this week on 10-year gold. Gold was interesting. So again, bottom being made, amateur down bars down here, blue professional bars, exhaustion buy, getting the move going through 3,400. We break into an uptrend and the background's in red. We had some blue professional bars here, seemingly taking profits. We get a bit of a signal, but no, there was news about tariffs and gold. And so gold spiked up to here, 65.30. Up here, blue professional bars, and then we weakened from there. So that's an interesting pattern. Certainly that's a level that if we come back and have a look at it again, let's see if it makes a double top and there's more blue professional bars come in there. But I suppose we didn't have exhaustion buy at this point to confirm that signal rolling over. We had exhaustion buy getting the move going at this point here. So let's see if this holds. At that point we come back and go for blue for an exhaustion patterns, because we run from exhaustion sell to exhaustion buy and so on. So that's not happened on gold yet. Silver last week set up blue professional bars, blue boxes, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, flush patterns lining up there. We got our signal, bang, break into an uptrend, and big pro bars happening here at this point. So that's interesting. Rambo patterns, and we've weakened from there. So, I mean, that was a nice rally. Let's see if it keeps going. Again, these are the exhaustion buy patterns getting the move going. To end this, we really need exhaustion buy patterns to come in and take profits. So, we've not seen that yet. Bitcoin's all over the place at the moment. Most of the activity is happening in Ethereum at the moment. So, we didn't have any blue professional bars at the lows here, some Rambo patterns here, but we've rallied from there. Had some blue professional bars here, but the background's still in red. So indeterminate at the moment on Bitcoin. No signals last week. But Ethereum, here we go. Now, we've talked about the setup for Ethereum, which happened 8 weeks ago. Down here, 2200. There was our signal. Big pro bars, blue professional bars down here. Bang. We rally up to 3400. And then with the last 3 or 4 weeks activity, oops, what have I done? Yeah, so 2200 to 3400. And then here we go. That was the next 3 or 4 weeks from 3,400 to almost 4,400 here. So they took profits at that point here. We had some weakness, but then exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, market caught, and they bought some more. But this is almost like a blow-off type move. So let's see if 4,000 holds for the end of that move. It's been super healthy from 2,200 to 4,400, so it's a doubling in Ethereum in 6 or 8 weeks. So let's see if that 4,000 level holds for the time being. And here we go, crude. So crude, short crude at the beginning of the week, because the prior week we'd topped out. Exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, big pro bars are those highs. We had nice little signals, bang. Exhaustion sell, getting the move going. So got short on the open on Sunday, I threw a little bit of jiggery pokery here and then took profits when the blue professional bars came in. And now this week we had more big pro bars, the blue boxes come in, exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, and I'm long, and we hadn't broken into an uptrend. So I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with that. And I think we had this little bit of strength at that point there because people were thinking that the Ukraine business would keep on going, and so crude prices were going to rally because of problems there. But then if Trump manages to do a deal with Ukraine and Russian oil comes back on the scene, crude prices go down, supposedly. So I think that's what might be going on at the moment, but I'm into a trade that I shouldn't be in because we didn't get confirmation breaking through here, so I was jumping too early on that. So natural gas, exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, big pro bars come in, classic. Get our signal, we rally. So from 290 to 315, it's a decent move. We've seen bigger moves, dollar moves in natural gas over the last several years, but still that's a healthy 25-cent move, and they've come in here, taken profits. We're weakening at the moment, but exhaustion sell happening there, and no blue boxes yet, so we don't have a signal to reverse there, but that was nice during this week's activity. Copper, let's not talk about copper because it's all being driven by tariffs over the last several weeks. We had this move driven by tariffs and this move driven by tariffs, and we're just fussing around. Don't know what to do on copper, so there's no signals to be talked about there. Then let's talk about ags quickly, because this week they're starting to line up. So this week's activity, exhaustion, sell, blue professional bars come in here. No big pro bars at that point, but we've got a rally signal. We've come back to bullish divergence. No blue professional bars taking profits there. So let's see if corn continues to rally. Soybeans, same thing. Exhaustion, sell, a bullish divergence. Blue professional bars come in here. We get a signal, and we've come back, amateur down bars. So let's see if these levels get broken to the upside. You wouldn't have taken this trade because you didn't see blue professional bars at the lows down here. They were later, and this was big pro bars happening on the retrace there and there. It's not until we saw these pro boxes coming at the lows that you're more confident in a trade there. So let's see if that amateur down bars get broken. These levels, 1,000, it gets broken on soybeans for an uptrend, and the same thing on wheat. So Rambo patterns, then big pro bars come in here, getting the move going. A little bit of weakness off that Rambo pattern. So we're just looking for this level to hold. You can see these are dark patterns happening here where we don't have confluence between price and volume. So we need 524 to be broken for a continuation confirmation that we're in a proper uptrend on the ags. So there we go, a rip around the charts. Hope your trading is going well. Let's see what happens this next week. It's a pity I'm going to be on a plane and out of action for a while, but as long as the stops and targets are in there and I'm not being stupid, it should be okay. Anyway, good luck with your trading this week.